I've seen people read the room and go, whoa, that wouldn't bode well for me in the future.
This is where the left misses it for me.
Difficulties with that.
But I have had moments where I was on stage receiving an award in front of my peers in Hollywood. There were people in the crowd that I have prayed with. And when I thank God, I saw some of those people.
Matthew McConaughey has always played it cool. And now, at 55, McConaughey isn't holding back anymore.
It's just so arrogant. And in some ways hypocritical to me.
In a jaw-dropping moment that's got Tinseltown buzzing, he's finally revealed the 8 actors he just can't stand. And trust us, some of these names will shock you.
I didn't get work and didn't work for over 2 years. Hollywood forgot me.
The question is, what really went down behind the scenes? Was it ego, betrayal, backstabbing on set? Or is McConaughey just tired of playing nice in an industry that never played fair? Let's break it down. Matthew McConaughey are among the few who refuse to play by the rules of the industry's dark underbelly. During a recent discussion, both hinted at the unseen forces that control Hollywood, forces that demand obedience in exchange for fame and fortune. But what happens when someone refuses to comply? They get erased, and that's exactly what happened to Matthew McConaughey.
I have 100% of the audience going, I'm in. At the very end of it, they go, so we don't let those criminal get backing off, and you're going, whoa! You're like, no, don't say the last part. You lost 50% of your audience.
During his time off, he focused on transforming his image, saying he wanted to become a new good idea in the minds of filmmakers. And man, did it work. When he came back, the floodgates opened, and suddenly, he was getting the kind of complex, challenging roles he had been holding out for. But even with all his talent, Matthew didn't always land the roles he wanted. Some of them could have taken his career to another level, like Titanic's Jack Dawson. Yep, he actually auditioned for the part, but as we all know, that one went to Leonardo Dicaprio.
Your Titanic audition with Kate Winslet like, and do you think you could have done a better job than Leo?
Went really well.
Really?
Well enough for when I left, I was being glad-handed and slapped on the back like, this is what we were looking for.
Not everyone knows this, but Kate Winslet actually auditioned for Titanic alongside Matthew McConaughey. She later revealed in an interview that they read for the roles together, which means at one point there was a real chance we could have seen him as Jack instead of Leonardo DiCaprio. She said, I auditioned with Matthew, isn't that weird? Revealed the actress, who forever and ever will be our Rose, Jack's lover. Never said that in public before. I auditioned with Matthew, which was completely fantastic. It just wouldn't have been the whole Jack and Rose, Kate and Leo thing. Imagine how different Titanic would have been with McConaughey at the helm, literally. We might have gotten a Jack Dawson with a southern drawl tossing out, all right, all right, all right, as he charmed Rose on the grand staircase.
And go, oh, I nailed it. This is happening. They're all happy too. And then there was a rumor, and James Cameron started this rumor somehow, that I got the role and didn't do it.
Matthew McConaughey has never openly bashed Leonardo DiCaprio, but sometimes silence speaks louder than words. The two only shared one major scene together in The Wolf of Wall Street, but what went down behind the scenes has fueled years of speculation and growing tension that neither has cared to address publicly. Insiders close to the production say things weren't as smooth as they looked on camera. While DiCaprio came in as Scorsese's golden boy, the star, the anchor, the awards magnet, McConaughey showed up and stole the spotlight with a single, now iconic chest-thumping scene. That wasn't in the script, by the way. That was all McConaughey. And rumor has it, Leo wasn't amused. He didn't like being upstaged, one source claimed. You could feel the energy shift after that scene blew up. Word around Hollywood is that Leo prefers actors who stay in line, follow direction, and don't disrupt the vision. McConaughey? He's all about intuition, instinct, and improvisation. That oil and water clash allegedly led to some real behind-the-scenes creative tension. The chemistry you saw on screen, apparently it ended the moment the camera stopped rolling.
We were 5 takes, got it, moving on. And Leonardo goes, hang on, Marty. And goes, what's that thing to me? He goes, what's that thing you're doing before the scene?
There's also talk that McConaughey wasn't exactly welcomed into Leo's inner circle, the elite clique of actors and producers who move like a private club through Hollywood, and that stung. It was clear he wasn't one of them, a longtime publicist whispered. He played the game differently, and that rubbed people the wrong way, especially Leo. Since Wolf, they've never worked together again, never praised each other, never shared a stage, and in a town where silence is strategic, that's more than coincidence. That's a Cold War. And now with McConaughey finally speaking out about actors he can't stand, fans are connecting the dots. Maybe he didn't name Leo directly, but the shade? It's loud. Let's just call this one what it is. Mutual dislike with an Oscar in between. While Dallas Buyers Club brought both McConaughey and Jared Leto critical acclaim, Golden Globes, and Academy Awards, it also brought a behind-the-scenes relationship so tense, it mirrored the on-screen hatred their characters had for each other.
I am not Matthew McConaughey, but we have some technology at work here. It is called the iPhone, and we have Mr. McConaughey.
And no, this isn't a rumor. McConaughey himself confirmed it. We didn't get along. He didn't care about me, and I didn't care about him. Let that sink in. That wasn't said in jest. That wasn't sarcasm. That was straight-up truth. And it cracked open a long-ignored tension between the laid-back Texas icon and Hollywood's most chaotic method actor. Jared Leto has made a career out of becoming his characters, sometimes to disturbing degrees. We've heard the stories, sending unwrapped condoms and dead rats to co-stars while playing the Joker in Suicide Squad. But it didn't start there. Leto played Rayon, a trans woman battling AIDS. And from the moment he was cast, he refused to break character. Director Jean-Marc Vallée even shared that Leto showed up to their Skype audition fully dressed as a woman, flirting for the entire 25-minute call, blurring boundaries between commitment and performance art gone too far. He was such a lady. He was such a girl. And he was sexy, the director recalled. It was all fun and games until the cameras stopped rolling, and Leto still didn't drop the act. According to McConaughey, the commitment crossed into theft. He tried to steal things from me, literally my pocket knife, lighters, etc. That's not quirky, that's disturbing, and it clearly rubbed Matthew the wrong way. This wasn't a friendly rivalry, it was silent warfare. Sources on set confirmed Matthew McConaughey and Jared Leto weren't chummy. They barely spoke when the cameras weren't rolling, avoided joint interviews as much as possible, and when awards season hit. No shared press. No post-win hugs. Just two actors riding parallel waves of success while staying miles apart. The irony? Their on-screen dynamic, one riddled with tension, disgust, and eventual respect, felt real because it was. Much like McConaughey's character, Ron, who couldn't stand Rain in the beginning, the actor himself struggled to even tolerate Leto on set. Sure, they helped make one of the most powerful films of the decade, but that doesn't mean they liked each other. In fact, if anything, it proves that brilliant chemistry can still come from mutual contempt. Years later, they've never worked together again, never appeared in each other's orbit. And Matthew has never walked back those comments, not once. So when McConaughey finally opened up about the actors he hates, Jared Leto's name didn't surprise anyone in the know. Because sometimes method acting isn't dedication, it's just plain weird. And Matthew? He wasn't here for it. On paper, Matthew McConaughey and Woody Harrelson are brothers in arms, Texas-born, laid-back, lovers of nature, wild philosophy. But when it came time to work together on HBO's True Detective, that bromance was seriously tested. The duo brought to life one of the most intense TV dynamics of the decade, two detectives with clashing worldviews, personal baggage, and a thin thread of trust. And while the friction between Rust Cole and Marty Hart was riveting on screen, the behind-the-scenes tension, that was very real.
That was Woody Harrelson. That's you. And you came in, took an elevator or the stairs or whatever, and came into the room. And you were basically showing up to say, I am not here for a wardrobe test.
In fact, Harrelson admitted as much. There were times I would get kind of angry with Matthew. That Fing character just made me want to Fing slap him. Let that sink in. This wasn't said with a laugh. This was frustration simmering under the surface, and it all came down to McConaughey's obsessive commitment to character. While Harrelson wanted a little levity between takes, McConaughey went full method, disappearing into the dark, nihilistic mind of Rustin Cole. And apparently he stayed there all day long. No jokes, no banter, no "hey, buddy." Just deadpan stares and cryptic, soul-crushing monologues about time being a flat circle. Harrelson, who knew McConaughey from lighter fare like EDTV and Surfer Dude, was not ready for this new version of his friend. McConaughey later laughed it off in interviews, saying, he's like, see, you're doing it again, man. You're doing it to me right now. We're offset. We're having a conversation. But the subtext is clear. Harrelson wasn't just annoyed. He was pushed. Their usual shorthand, that effortless rhythm they shared in past projects, gone. Replaced by an emotional wall McConaughey refused to take down. One source close to production put it bluntly: Woody felt like he was working with a ghost, and ghosts don't tell jokes. And here's the kicker. While both actors have spun it as a creative choice that helped the performance, fans are starting to wonder, did it? Or did McConaughey just go too far? Method acting is one thing, but shutting out your longtime friend on set to the point he wants to slap you crosses into weirdly hostile territory, especially considering that Harrelson later joked that McConaughey was an island, cut off, emotionally inaccessible, and totally locked into a character that wasn't exactly easy to be around. Russ Cole wasn't fun, he wasn't warm, and neither was McConaughey, not during filming anyway.
Woody's the kind of guy that if you rent the place, but he shows up before you get there, he will take the master bedroom. Let me just say this about Woody. Even if the plan on the night is you're going to the Oscars, it's probably a good idea to take your swimsuit.
So yeah, they pulled off something brilliant. True Detective Season 1 is a masterclass in tension, but at what cost? These days, they still appear friendly, still smile for photos, but fans can't help but notice they haven't reunited for anything nearly as intense since. And with rumors swirling that they might actually be biological brothers, a theory fueled by McConaughey himself, things have gotten even weirder. Because if Harrelson did want to slap Matthew back then, imagine how he felt when Matthew hinted they might share DNA without warning him first. Friends or not, McConaughey definitely made that hate list complicated, because sometimes your closest people push your buttons the hardest. And when that happens on camera, the world watches it all fall apart in real time. On the surface, Matthew McConaughey and Jennifer Garner appear to have a warm, respectful bond. They've done press together, shared heartfelt praise, even had a moment of real connection on the set of Dallas Buyers Club. But dig a little deeper and there's a tension lurking beneath the surface. A tension born not of personal betrayal, but of method acting madness, emotional overload, and an environment that pushed everyone to the edge.
It was upsetting, but it got more upsetting as time went on. I hated it.
Garner signed on to Dallas Buyers Club fresh off maternity leave, still breastfeeding her youngest child, and desperate to re-enter the Hollywood game after taking time off for her family. But what she walked into wasn't just a film set, it was a pressure cooker. Both McConaughey and Jared Leto were locked into intense, all-consuming performances, refusing to break character even off camera. The vibe was dark, the energy was heavy, and Garner, she felt it, hard. By her own admission, the method madness started to break her down. The relentless schedule, the lack of breaks, the emotional intensity. It all came to a head during a supposedly light scene when Garner broke down in tears on set. "My BBs were freaking out," she recalled. "It was bedtime and we were doing some scene that was supposed to be light and I started crying. I have to quit. I just can't do this anymore." And while McConaughey did step in, pulling her aside, talking her off the ledge, even arranging private time for her to pump, the moment revealed something deeper. She was drowning in an environment that wasn't built for her. Why was she at that breaking point to begin with? Because the set of Dallas Buyers Club wasn't just intense, it was hostile to balance. Garner reportedly found McConaughey's and Leto's extreme commitment to staying in character unsettling. One source even claimed she was isolated during filming, caught between two men who were so locked into their roles, they forgot there were other human beings around them. And here's where it gets complicated. After that emotional meltdown, McConaughey became her support system, the same man whose on-set intensity may have helped cause the problem in the first place. Sure, he gave her a hand signal system to escape when she needed it. Sure, he offered kind words and a private moment. But the bigger question is, was McConaughey a hero? Or was he just cleaning up the emotional mess the environment had already created? It's also worth noting that Garner's discomfort wasn't just about one bad day. Her unease with the film's emotional tone, the production's rigidity, and the suffocating method acting of both McConaughey and Leto left a scar. She never worked with either of them again on a serious drama. Instead, she returned to lighter fare, a quiet, strategic move that said, "Never again." So while they smile for the press, and while that one touching story gets passed around like a warm hug from the McConaughey era, Hollywood insiders know the truth. Sometimes the people who save you are the same ones who helped push you to the edge. And Matthew? He might have made the hate list not because of cruelty, but because of how hard it was to survive working beside him. On screen, Matthew McConaughey and Anne Hathaway have undeniable chemistry. First in Interstellar, where they soared through space, and later in Serenity, where they spiraled into something much darker. But while their public comments have been consistently respectful, even affectionate, the truth behind the scenes? That's a little messier than most fans realize.
Smaller, maybe more personal drama without the scope and high concepts, or sort of at least of other worlds, literally.
Because Serenity wasn't just a box office failure, it was a career bruise. And behind the glossy premieres and photo ops, both McConaughey and Hathaway were reportedly furious with how the film was handled. At the center of the storm, Aviron Pictures, the distributor that allegedly bailed on promoting the film, failing to spend the agreed-upon amount on TV ads. With little buzz and zero marketing muscle, Serenity bombed hard. The twisty thriller, meant to be an experimental masterpiece, instead became a late-night punchline. And the fallout, it rattled everyone involved. Insiders say both McConaughey and Hathaway felt betrayed, especially after committing fully to the film. McConaughey, in particular, immersed himself in the role, learning to fish with director Stephen Knight, filming long days on a boat, delivering a performance that was deliberately strange and surreal. Hathaway, she poured herself into her emotionally demanding role as a woman trapped in an abusive marriage, researching domestic abuse survivors and crafting note cards for each scene to stay grounded in character. This wasn't just another paycheck for either of them, it was personal. So when the film flopped, not because of their performances, but because of what they saw as a studio screw-up, tempers flared, quietly, professionally, but still, they flared. And while McConaughey praised Hathaway in interviews, "We don't always agree, we enjoy disagreeing," he smirked. You could almost hear the subtext. The creative differences weren't always fun. The line between resistance and resentment got blurry fast. Sources close to the production claimed there were heated creative debates between the two actors on set. Hathaway, always meticulous, sometimes clashed with McConaughey's more instinct-driven style. The mutual respect, still there, but the honeymoon from Interstellar was definitely over.
Going there that Interstellar had, it drew us for similar reasons, though. We've kind of uncovered that in the last couple of days talking about it. There are similar themes running through both of these pictures that we've been in, Interstellar and Serenity.
And let's not ignore the timing. Serenity was filmed just before the #Me Too movement exploded. Hathaway, who has been a vocal advocate for women's issues, later spoke about the emotional toll of playing a woman stuck in a cycle of abuse and the urgency of telling those stories properly. It raised eyebrows when she distanced herself from the film after its release, despite months of pre-release praise. Since Serenity flopped, the two stars haven't reunited. No follow-up project, no Instagram shout-outs, no cozy joint interviews reminiscing about their time on the island. The friendship? Still technically intact, but noticeably quiet. They were the golden couple of early 2000s rom-coms, sizzling on screen in How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days and Fool's Gold. But here's the plot twist Hollywood doesn't advertise. Behind those perfect sun-kissed scenes, Kate Hudson and Matthew McConaughey's chemistry wasn't nearly as romantic as it looked. In fact, it was downright gross. In a brutally candid moment on Gwyneth Paltrow's Goop podcast, Hudson didn't hold back. When asked about her best and worst on-screen kisses, she immediately brought up McConaughey. Not for praise, but for the cringe factor. There was just like snot and wind. It was never a good kiss. Yikes. That's not exactly what fans of their effortless chemistry were expecting. But it gets even messier. The infamous ocean makeout scene in Fool's Gold? According to Hudson, McConaughey had snot all over his face, and she had to kiss him through it.
Each time I kiss McConaughey, it's like there's just something happening and there's like snot or wind. In the end of Fool's Gold, we're like in the ocean, we like had the plane crash, and it was just like...
McConaughey didn't deny it either. In fact, he doubled down in a later interview, describing the chaotic shoot like a survival challenge. You're in the middle of the ocean, coming up for air. Then you're supposed to passionately kiss. He admitted even the crew kept calling for retakes because the kisses just weren't working. Now, on the surface, both actors have chalked it all up to environmental conditions, the wind, the water, the logistics of filming. But let's be real. In Hollywood, where stars are trained to keep things polite, calling someone your worst kiss publicly, that's not a throwaway comment. That's a red flag. Fans began to speculate. Was there more going on behind the scenes? Did Hudson's bluntness about the grossness signal deeper discomfort with her co-star? And why, despite two high-grossing rom-coms and undeniable star power, have the two never reunited for another project since 2008? Some insiders whisper that the working dynamic between them wasn't as smooth as it looked. Hudson, known for being precise and polished, allegedly found McConaughey's improvisational, off-the-cuff acting style a bit chaotic. McConaughey, in turn, may have felt boxed in by the demands of the polished rom-com formula that Hudson thrived in. From the outside, The Gentleman was a slick, stylish return to form for Guy Ritchie, packed with British swagger and American grit. But behind the camera, things weren't nearly as smooth, especially between Matthew McConaughey and rising star Henry Golding.
Matthew, I'm Henry. And he just looks at me with this like killer stare and he's like, I'm McConaughey. And I was just like, what? No. And then
Golding, who was still fresh off his Crazy Rich Asians breakout, admitted something wild after filming. I honestly thought Matthew hated me. Wait, what? Yep. According to Golding, McConaughey stayed deep in character as the cold, calculating crime boss. So much so that during early interactions on set, he wouldn't smile, wouldn't break character, and instead gave Golding a stone-cold glare. Day after day. No small talk, no Hollywood charm, just tension. Golding said the hostility felt too real, and for a while he couldn't tell if it was an acting choice or a personal grudge. Was it just method acting or something deeper? Eventually, once filming wrapped, McConaughey finally dropped the persona and revealed his softer side. According to Golding, he was the most loving and giving person off camera. But by then, the damage was done. The young actor had spent weeks thinking he was walking on eggshells around a Hollywood heavyweight. Josh Lucas might have starred in Sweet Home Alabama, but what happened to him one day on the street was anything but sweet. And it all started because of Matthew McConaughey. Picture this. Lucas is minding his own business when a random fan rushes up, convinced he's McConaughey. Not casually mistaken, aggressively mistaken. The fan demands an autograph, not a polite request, but with an entitled, in-your-face tone. Lucas tries to explain the mix-up, but the guy doesn't back down. In fact, it escalates. Fast. The more Lucas denies it, the angrier the fan gets, cursing him out, accusing him of being a jerk, and hurling insults like, "You've changed, man," all while calling him McConaughey. Lucas later joked that maybe he should have just scribbled, all right, and walked away. But here's where it gets interesting. Some say Lucas's frustration might go beyond just one random fan encounter. After all, he and McConaughey have eerily similar Southern charm, similar looks, and they were both rising stars in the early 2000s. But McConaughey's career skyrocketed, while Lucas's plateaued. So naturally, the comparisons stung, especially when those comparisons came with verbal abuse in broad daylight. Lucas told the story with a laugh, but there's a sting behind the humor. Imagine being mistaken for a more successful version of yourself, and then being yelled at for not living up to it. That's not just awkward, that's humiliating.
Look, I would love to. I mean, Matthew, I think, knows Taylor. He's from Texas. He knows this world in a way as well. These are authentic cowboys, really true.
And here's the kicker. While Lucas was nearly thrown into a street brawl for being McConaughey himself has never publicly addressed the incident. No show of solidarity, no humorous follow-up, no wink to his mistaken identity twin. Just silence. That's it for today, folks. Until next time, goodbye.